sure you're still just as excited to see this one as we hop into Champion Select, finally. And first up, it's going to be the Tristana. The assumption was certainly correct, Papa Smithy.
I mean, on blue side, you just say, we want the best AD carry, don't know what you guys are going to do, and we mentioned the Galio. These are the parts you could already fill in. We'll see what KT wants to drop in terms of AD carry. The Varus is a possibility, the Caitlyn, the other one.
I feel like KT wants to first pick the Varus. And they're happy with that no matter what, and especially now that the Caitlyn is banned. That's almost a definite Varus ban, right?
You and I wondered out loud if Tristana, Caitlyn, and Varus are banned, what the priority AD carry is, or whether you go to other lanes and then something legacy like the Jinx comes back for deft. Blue side ban on the side. We mentioned this because letting it be flex on the red side is just the worst thing ever.
Does this mean that if a Varus is banned away here, that we get a first pick Ezreal? Is that almost a guarantee for deft, or is he going to dig deeper and possibly go for something like the Kog'Maw, like the Jinx? Twitch? Who knows?
I think you avoid first picking an AD carry if the Varus is banned. KT Rolster, it's set up for a first pick Varus, but then you feel like Ambition will be jumping on Zac and trying to go for backline threat. So I'm very interested to see if it just ends up being the Varus. The Olaf is open.
The Olaf sneaks through.
It's going to be first picked. Ambition's been playing in solo queue, so while KSV don't strike you as a team to use Olaf, it is a legacy pick for Ambition, so they will take it away. That does leave open Varus, but think about this, Atlas. Varus does not like laning against Olaf, so you might want to go elsewhere. Xayah has a happier time.
And they get Xayah Rakan.
Yep.
They can pick it in this round as well. They can actually save the Rakan pick if they want to pick something away here, but it would make the most sense just to lock down the Lovers duo. Does leave KT with any support option that they want to take into a known quantity bottom lane as well.
I mean, it's the most obvious Varus prom ever, unless they have different ideas about where they want to play.
Varus Thresh could be an option as well if they want more pressure early on.
It could also be a Leona lane if they want to be able to follow the Rakan. Leona's seen as a big one here, but look at this. They do not want to go for Varus. So what this says to me is perhaps we're going to see some more proactivity in other lanes. Ezreal into the Xayah Rakan is basically taking the passenger side, usually, rather than necessarily looking to take the role of the aggressor. So Varus will fall through picks and bans. Very interesting, but KT clearly don't want to deal with it. Also, they have an Olaf who just wants to run at the enemy, so Peel is already looking like it's going to be at a premium for KT. So why not go for a very mobile AD carry? The Zac we expected is going to be locked in. If it was the Varus, going to be free food into a Zac. But Ambition goes back to his comfort. Okay, so already a lot of evolutions here. The next level is that the Ezreal will be self-sufficient, and KT will probably go for dive. So Alistair will be a smart ban against them, because backline threat is something they're going to want. Whereas the side of KSV going to be going a lot more standard here. I think it's going to be much more about the 2-item power spike for KSV.
Yeah, and it's having pushing power on the top side of the map as well. The stock value has gone up massively high because KSV do have that 2v2 on the bottom side that can be dangerous. So getting extra pressure elsewhere, meaning that Ambition can't help them, is a good option. But yeah, the pinching happens once again for KT on the bottom side as Marta getting a lot of respect.
Yeah, the Alistair ban's really smart here because like I mentioned, it's Ezreal and then usually you have a dive support. Maybe Leona will end up being the choice. Beside of KSV, interested to see if they blind pick top or mid. At this next pick, Talia is taken off the board. 2 very safe blind picks and also comfort for Cuvée and Crown banned away. We'll see where the blind pick goes. With Smeb in great form, it's scary to blind pick top, but Orin is available and will be super standard.
Yeah, that's an option. We've got a 0 available though, and Crown should be able to lock that one away, bringing us the Chicken Man versus Ryze in the mid lane.
And of course,
we've seen all the time.
We'd already seen the lock into the mid, so it was an answering pick.
Yeah.
They can wait on top lane. See what KT wants to do. Definitely seen much less GP priority this week. The Leona into Rakan specifically would be sticking with what other teams have been doing.
The Renekton made me a little bit excited. But, of course, haven't seen that one at all for a very long time. And that's going to be the Leona, the one that you were talking about earlier on.
So blind top laners, it feels like Nara and Camille are first round when it comes to the safest blind picks. They're both taken out, so see what KT wants to do here. Backline threat is what you expect. They could also look for split push in their final pick.
Jace could be an option.
Oh baby.
My God, there we are.
It's
Papa
backline
Smithy,
threat.
Your prayers have been answered, my friend.
I was expecting it to be Rumble on patch 8.5 or 6 when the new changes come through. But we're getting Smebs Rumble for the first time this season. Been playing it a lot in solo queue. That means the Kled I mentioned, Atlas, is good into Rumble.
Oh man, and QV used to be a player of the Kled many, many times. They're hovering it for now. QV, he's nodding. Could be.
He wants to attack the lane one way or the other.
Fiora is going to be the answer, and this is going to be a top lane worth watching. We've had our Orns and Scions. That was last week. Now we've got the good matchups, damn it.
And I love how QV will play tanks only until he visits Smebland, and then instantly he tries to counterpick for lane. QV's not going to be an Untara. He only wants to play skill matchups into his enemy. The Fiora is a winning matchup against the Rumble, and this also puts the game on a timer because eventually Rumble cannot enter lane against the Fiora. Will just be free food for the Fiora. There's very strong engage. They need deep vision and to make teleport plays. Otherwise, it feels like KSV can take the game down. This is a hype draft for Game 1.
Yeah, it's super exciting because there are so many opportunities for this game to go one way or the other. What's score going to be getting done in the jungle of ambition? The Zac going to have trouble, but with shoving lanes available and lane priority for KSV, will they have to not even worry about it with Score just putting out fires?
Now, Rumble can run at the Fiora and have situational lane control early game, so at least that's a lane that Olaf can look to visit or play through when it comes to the invade, but the nerfs to the Flame Spitter early make it less overwhelming. Score definitely wants to be on ambition hunting when it comes to the Zac, who has a passive early game. Ryze can rotate first as well. They do not want this game to go to 3 items on Fiora, because unless the Baron comes through, she will split them down and cut them through. So very risky here for KT Rolster to allow the game to go along, but that means the early game should be fiery. Cannot allow this to drag.
Yep. And that first axe will be able to land in the mid lane as well as the bottom lane with the bevy of CC that Leona has in the hands of Marta. Bottom lane of KSV is looking very dangerous, though. We know what Zyra and Rakan are capable of. There are just so many facets of this game that we need to focus on. 2-item spike for Deft versus 3 from Ruler is important, but he is the late-game master carry as well.
And Ezreal Leona really want to get the level 2 advantage, otherwise it could be painful against Zyra Rakan. Hype, Atlas.
Yep, can Deft keep that passive up, keep it rolling for KT Rolster? We'll see whether they can as we get into game number 1 of this Hype as Hell series. I was expecting that to be a little bit more one-sided, but pretty even here in the Soli Stadium. Fans relatively split down the middle. KT Rolster setting up battle lines. This is why I love Smebs Rumble the most, because I love Pineapple Equalizer. It is my definite favorite. Rumble in the jungle is the best.
And Smeb had very conspicuously been playing a lot of Rumble in solo queue. He varies the builds quite a bit, so I do imagine it still will be something like the Leandries.
I think that's only gotten better on the Rumble.
Deft found a sack of gold. That was hard to say. And has 1,000, so a control ward at level 1 could be very useful.
Yeah, going to be able to pick that one up.
We've seen some cool strategies against specifically the Olaf jungle. You'll remember the Orin from MVP not picking up items at level 1 to get a control ward and then crafting them. Speaking of items, as we look at the history, Smebs Rumble maybe only second to Marin's as legendary Korean Rumble players. Yeah. But the actual starting item for QV is going to be into the Ancient Coin. He started Ancient Coin in this matchup.
And it is going to be Kleptomancy once again. I was actually wondering whether or not he'd go for something a little bit more dangerous for the Rumble.
We got the runes here as well. Absolute focus taken by the Rumble. Of course, about the equalizer damage. But yeah, Ancient Coin Rumble. Fiora against Rumble.
Yeah. He's going full investment style.
It's saying, hey, I might get some pain around level 3, but even the minions I miss can potentially give me the mana and also the gold generation.
Yep.
Not often you see Q taking level 1 on a Rumble. Now that's on a 10-second cooldown, but Comet Rumble is the new hotness. Walk up, Comet trades. Very non-committal Comet trades. Don't even need to hit a skill shot. You have a cone ability to proc it.
And you can hide the little indicator as well. As you see, QV is taking so many hits because it's underneath the Flame Spitter. Very, very frustrating as Smeb's just wandering at him. Gets level 2 advantage, which means he sets up shop at the front of this minion wave. And QV, understandably, has to give him all of the respect.
And again, this matchup is no longer the Resident Sleeper tank battle in top. This is very much a window of timing matchup, which is some of my favorites, in that Rumble overpowers team fights and really is about getting out of the lane with as much of a lead as possible. He also pushes up famously, whereas the side of KSV is about getting 2 items, Lifesteal and then Trinity Force items. So Ravenous Hydra, Trinity Force, and then Rumble can't enter lane and has to make the teleports work, or they just lose the split push. So because it's so swingy with some of the most talented top laners in the world, a lot of action going to be topside for certain.
Well, Born's going to get aggressive onto Crown here. Didn't like the fact that he had a Sand Soldier set up on him. Gets over there. Pirate Rise. The Pawn special. Don't see it very often. Just had a few games of Zombie Rise from Ian. Smeb, what's he going to be able to get done? One thing I do want to talk about here is sort of timings for KT Rolster, because when you've got a Rumble in the game, you have to talk about that Equalizer as being such a fantastic threat when it comes to getting early control around objectives. Normally you talk about Dragon because it's been a while since he's been in the game, but Rift Herald is another thing that KT can use to really accelerate this game. They've been a team in the past that's very good at using it, and using it early on into the game. Normally it's when Deft has the Caitlyn, but now potentially could be a thing because Smeb has the Rumble.
And Def will be stronger earlier. 2-item Ezreal is about timings. I know Ezreal gets a lot of ironic cheers in other regions where he gets outscaled heavily. KT have understood that they are going to be in a definite bad situation at 4 items plus, so expect them to be very aggressive around, I would imagine, Iceborne Gauntlet for another control. Ultimately, they have damage on all 5 members of KT, so Iceborne Gauntlet to me makes sense, but Trinity Force also, if you snowball enough, if it comes in early enough, would be a big power spike.
You can see a lot of deep vision actually down for KSV. They know exactly where Score is, looming around the bottom side of the map. QV goes back, grabs himself the Vampiric Scepter just to try and hang around in this lane. But he's falling well and truly far behind as Marta gets himself in there. Lots of damage. Gets knocked up though, and Eclipse keeping him up level 3. Such a good point for the Leona, but he's burning down. Does need to eat through these potions now.
Yeah, ColeJJ felt pressured to ignite just because he didn't want to repeat trade, but we get one anyway.
Yeah, he's going to go straight back in as Ruler's in trouble. Deft wants to use the flash. He flashes forward, but he's not going to be able to pick it up. No, it's just the Arcane Shift. Thankfully, he still has it. In goes Marta once again, but you got the battle dancing and ColeJJ out in Ambition, looming in threat range and isn't seen from anyone on KT.
Man, it was so close in the 2v2. 4 people clench at the chance of a kill that doesn't quite come out. In the mid lane, Born taking a nice trade. We know that Ryze does well in the Azir matchup, but I love to see world-class bot lanes taking it really early, not playing for the scaling, trying to find the advantage. That time it doesn't work.
Yeah, and you were talking about not going for the scaling. They're continuing to do so. Deft grabs a Sheen instead of getting the tier. So they have hard committed on winning this lane at all costs.
Oh, look at those first item purchases. Only Pawn isn't synergized. Blasting Wand, Sheen.
This is the dream. This is exactly the KT you wanted to see in this matchup. This is
exactly spring 2017 KT. Well, we need to win this one early, guys. Now, they have the Rift Herald. Baron is very powerful. And the irony we mentioned last time on stream, Achilles and I a couple of days ago, is in this meta, 8.4, 2017 spring, KT might have been the best team ever because they couldn't close games, but man, did they have a big lead.
Oh, yeah.
And get the first Baron, then kind of lose. The first Baron wins you the game straight up now. So the amount of aggression you can show, they are basically saying, you are KSV, the Shield, the scaling team. We are KT, the early game team. And they're going full barrel into that, and that's fun to see.
Well, Ambition, standing on top of a ward, not even wanting to fight it off against Smeb. Equalizer, such an incredible thing to have to aid you in these ganks. Can potentially go for that 1v2 situation as Smeb throws down an extra ward. His control ward is going to get cleared out though, so he's not going to be able to play as aggressively as he otherwise was. But look at KT's bottom lane. They're continuing to play so far up.
So deep.
Okay, welcome to the bottom lane, Score. You took the wrong entrances. Born. Oh no. That was a whoopsie. Yeah, the Realm Warp was a little bit too ambitious. Just steps off the edge as Crown takes free damage, actually. Doesn't set up his soldiers in time.
It's been purely for zoning. At the end of the day, they don't need to hard commit. They wanted to zone them away from turret, unable to do so. A minion was put down as well, which is picked out by the blue side. They wanted to see if Rumble wanted to look for the teleport play, but TP is down. So I've got deep vision. They know the Zac is there to relieve pressure. They continue pushing up as a Sheen auto there almost kills Roll. It probably doesn't quite. It was just over 200 health, but
But look at him. He's playing like a massive, like halfway between his inner turret and outer as True Shot Barrage not going to clear out. Ruler is going for the minion wave.
He actually got baited there because you would expect Ruler to back in the minion wave because that would take reduced damage if the ultimate came through.
True.
Instead, he was actually just backing in a spot where he could have just straight up died. Next level, I guess you would say about that.
Yep, like it. Like as many layers of thinking that you have to do in a matchup as possible.
Probably going to be the tier purchase now, I would imagine, by Deft. And it will come second, but...
But I like it. Like having that extra power in the lane. You saw it. They were able to get so much pressure out. No flash available for Ruler, which is why he had to play so defensively.
Didn't mention it before, but Smeb also didn't go for the bone-plating second win broken top lane. He wants domination. He knows that it doesn't matter how much plating he has. It's going to end up just being death when Fiora finally starts trading aggressively. So kind of double down on as much early power as possible.
Yep, just going to try and bully QV around, understanding that Kleptomancy was likely to come in, so that early game was going to be an even easier time. Pawn's going to be delivered this blue buff. Continue the stacking. Looks like he's going for the Abyssal Mask that we saw so much today. I personally prefer to see the Rod of Ages, but I guess KT don't give a darn about scaling.
I'm all about the Abyssal Mask when you have a Rumble on your team, because then Rise goes in and the damage amp is going to be happy times.
Oh, baby. Yeah, we haven't actually been talking about double AP compositions for quite some time, but this truly is one. Yeah, the likes of Vladimir hasn't seen much play recently.
Last cannon we saw was on-hit cannon, which is the AD hybrid build rather than full AP.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Smeb, it's still the Yandris as the core item. Just because the Equalizer, you're likely to take multiple hits, so ends up stacking up. Not quite a one-item power spike as it was before, but situationally can do more damage, especially with the damage amp coming through from Pawn.
Well, you can see bottom lane, KT playing very far up. Crown going to have to shift some sands to get out. His Ambition elastically slings his way underneath the turret. He's going to be okay, but Core JJ needs to get out of the way of these Qs. And we don't talk about it a lot because there are just so many Ezreal players in the LCK, but Deft is completely ludicrous on this champion and has been throughout his entire career.
Ambition's actually here for it.
That prediction was sick onto Pawn, but Ambition may regret it in the end. The Equalizer, Equalizer comes down, but the Kidnap to get him to safety is going to be okay.
Actually equalized as if he was going to ult away, but I gave him a free ability to ult into turret range. Hard to say what Smeb was thinking there, but regardless, not going to be enough.
Sort of halfway between both turrets, so sort of had multiple options. Pawn makes his way back into the mid lane.
Yeah, Ambition was lying in wait. He saw the Blast Cone be taken over, so he knew exactly what to expect from Pawn. He didn't need to have a next level prediction. In the right part of the map, though, he knew which quadrant to be on, and when you have Fiora into Rumble and a bot lane that's been on the back foot, being on the right side of the map, being ahead of the play is really all Ambition needs to do.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, Papa, is Morellonomicon. Is that going to be the option for Smeb as item number 2, potentially, if he wants to go overly aggressive?
It's definitely a very realistic choice on the Rumble. It builds out of the Oblivion Orb, the old Haunting guys, so you feel good about the Magic Pen.
Yeah, Magic Pen just being so good on the Rumble.
Because when I first thought of things, when I first thought of items, I was actually really down on Morellonomicon. I was like, okay, well, you know, it gives decent amount of AP, but it's not going to be the same oomph. You lost the ability to have the burn on it, etc. But hold the point for now.
Yep, good knock up there onto Marta as Battle Dance
gets him out of the ult damage.
Yeah, going to avoid it. It's Deft missing some Qs, not able to trade back. Marta loses half his health bar for what feels like for free.
I think something that's not just discussed about the new Morellonomicon is you instantly think, oh yeah, the Morellonomicon passive is still there. It's on a different type of item. It's not on a 20% CDR item. It's on a different item. But you forget that the new Morellonomicon is Grievous Wounds on any damage, not when they're below 40%. Yeah. The Equalizer instantly makes Grievous Wounds onto 5 people if it hits. And that is actually a lot of power to have. Front-loaders Grievous Wounds on a mage is something that's never been there before. And Executioner's Calling is very rarely built early, so you don't really feel the full value of Grievous Wounds in an AoE very often. Now it's there for the Rumble, and it certainly is a real consideration on these higher healing comps.
Yeah, well, this is exactly one of those. QV certainly going to be relying on that, what with the Ravenous Hydra that he's building and with the Grand Challenge that's going to be coming down. Pawn, okay, not actually going to get engaged on by Ambition.
So I'm a recent convert when it comes to Morellonomicon, especially on Rumble.
I think it's cool. See where the Smeb decides to go for it. There's a lot of damage options early, so might leave him a little bit squishy. As Pawn going 1v2 and looking okay with it. As Mata, he set himself up.
They have no
wants
idea.
to find the Zenith blade, doesn't get it onto Ambition.
That means there could be a potential contest here. I think Skor might have to give this one up. Waiting to see. Rumble can walk down, Equalizer up.
Yeah, the flash actually comes in. There's a Solar Flare, gets a slow onto Core JJ, means he can't actually connect as Mata just travels around the map. Not going to get the Realm Warp as Pawn's just going to move forward. He sets that one up just because he wants to as Deft going for the 1v1. Ruler has to be so careful underneath this turret. True Shot Barrage is avoided by Ruler, and now Deft might actually be in a poor position. Has to get out of the way. Featherstorm avoided by Deft. And this is some masterful AD carry play on the bottom side from the two best, honestly, in the LCK at the moment.
Two of the best for sure, and Iceborne Gauntlet was the rush onto Deft, doubling down on this early time frame where KT roll up to an objective and say, come on then, you coming to fight? We're ready to go. They certainly are feeling a brawl here. KT Rolster, but they're not actually finding the kills or the gold lead they desperately want. It doesn't matter. At equal gold values with their champions, they are stronger. Up until about 25 to 30 minutes into the game, really about the decision-making around Drake and Baron to put them over the edge.
Yeah, and we're looking for these tiers to transform into actual damage potential as well. So when Archangels and Muramana come in, that is going to be the time where KT are going to feel the best about fighting. Skor still hasn't found any action. Of course, Ambition, the same thing, but you have to feel that if you're over the side of KSV, you're feeling great. Because it's still 0-0, approaching 15 minutes. The slower a game goes, the better a KSV fan should feel.
Yeah, 5 flashes up as well, so the ultimate equalizer dream is largely averted, not taking more than 2 to 3 ticks, because you will be able to flash out.
Ground can't shift fast enough.
Pawn has a lot of everything, but not quite one completed item yet, so still working on the Abyssal Mask. 2-item Ezreal, Abyssal Mask, and another AP item onto the Rumble is where we're getting to. Rumble build is more flexible here. Normally Rumble has to go second item Void Staff against the tank.
Yeah.
Against a carry, value of Void Staff much lower.
Well, Ward is going to be walked over, and this is going to be first turret going down on the top side of the map just from general pressure that Smeb's had.
Don't have to invest the Rift Herald as well. They hold on to that one, and only prize on the bot side is an Ocean Drake, which KT's fine with.
Yeah, and if they actually know that this is going on, they'll be able to set the Rift Herald up in the mid lane at the same time. So Skor, we'll see whether he utilizes it. Still got half of its duration, so can do whatever he wants. Now KT kill out a minion wave. They're waiting for the next one to arrive. It's Crown.
Don't have information yet. They don't have any information. If they saw the back coming, they would have done it, but...
I thought there was a ping on it, actually, but not going to be from KT.
KT, of course, were able to intuit what they expected, but they didn't know. And that means that the Rift Herald, the only real big prize they've claimed in the early game, apart from this outer turret at 15 minutes, needs to be used smart. Bot lane is already low, because we've seen the poking happen many times from Deft in around the bot lane. More amount of transformation will be later, because it was the Sheen Rush. So 21 minutes looking less likely, probably more like 23 and a half.
Depending on how many buttons Deft has been able to press, but yeah, I completely agree. 2-item spike coming in. Regardless of whether he's got the transformation, still pretty big, turning what is just mana into actual damage now available to Deft.
Now, Mata impressed us a lot in his last series against SKT, largely from smart team fighting. He also was very ballsy in the items. He did not go for Banner of Command in either game. He's rushing the Aegis into the Locket or just straight into Righteous Glory for Engage. Very interesting to see what he does in this game, where the rest of his team has gone heavily into the early to mid game. Maybe you go Banner of Command for the win more mid game, or maybe you just go for a team fighting item to try to guarantee those team fights. I think there's arguments for both.
Ooh, now they've got a free turret if they want to. Rift Herald should be put down because it's about to expire onto Skor. Setting himself up for potentially a gank at the same time, but he wants to use it as quickly as possible. Does throw it down here. Should mean that Shelly gets a charge. They take down second turret of the game to further increase their lead.
Sticking with it though, they're going to continue pushing down the bot lane because Rift Herald's so strong.
Okay, but now Mata is free to get around the map. Always a scary time for any team.
And they just have no vision to KT. They can't actually make the play I expected of them just pushing with the Rift Herald because they have no deep vision on top or bot lane, which makes it very difficult to keep going, although now walking up.
Yeah, Pawn might be caught out of position just a little bit, but there's the Solar Flare landing. Ambition taking so much damage, they want the passive so bad. Last Axe does land, True Shot Barrage as well helping out, but no, isn't going to go down to the Blobbies.
Ambition will be out of the fight for a little while, which is a mini victory for KT. They would love to have used the Rift Herald mid lane, even for a charge. They don't get it. Pawn looking for the roam. QV gets the information.
Yeah, Smeb wants to direct QV down the red carpet, isn't going to do so. As it looks like Smeb might actually be opting in for something like the Void stuff based on the 2 items, but they also build into a bunch of other things.
Rylai's definitely a real possibility.
That could be a good one. Extra 10 AP on this patch.
And that means that it has above 100% gold efficiency, not even including the slow. So before it was slot inefficient and gold inefficient for an item you wanted to replace in the late game. Now it actually is decently slot efficient and also feels great on Rumble. At 2 items, it does also proc the second part of the extra maximum health damage on his Flame Spitter. Yep. Otherwise, it's only the E and the ultimate. But Void Staff is still a very decent choice with where the game is expected to go. It just doesn't contribute positively in lane as much as if in a tank matchup.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe if the Hex Drinker hadn't been purchased by QV, something like that, he could have gone for something else. But he's noticed the Merc Treads being picked up everywhere. He wants to be able to cut through some of that magic resist. I think, personally, it's a little bit too early, but I don't mind it. QV sort of relegated to clearing out his Crow Camp. He's standing on top of a ward here as well, so still, KT with some information.
If you take a snapshot of right now and say who's winning, the answer is KSV. KSV has a lot of team fight, a lot of outscale in the side lane. They also have a pretty decent team fight chance, even if Fiora's grouping, depending on how the team fight goes. And KT haven't been able to overtake the early game as much as a Rumble draft first kind of lends itself to needing. But it can change so much pre-30 minutes. Ravenous Hydra into Mormont is already complete on QV, who has the free boots as well. He's definitely got a lot of power, and already it's tricky for Rumble to enter lane against the Fiora.
Yeah, it's getting real worrying. If you were a KT fan, you were hoping for a first blood much earlier than this. 20 minutes into the game, 1,000 gold, but 2 turrets in the lead at KT. You got the Kleptomancy doing a bunch of work for QV, but remember, Deft has it as well, and a CS lead. Feels like KT haven't been able to push this as hard as they would want. Of course, still strong. And at this point in the game, they're feeling great about where they are. We want Archangels to be done for Pawn. That's going to be a big moment, but otherwise, now they have all of the vision in the river. Now they have opportunities to start pushing advantages, but can they break open the mid lane outer turret?
Every minion wave comes up, and Deft is lucky to get a single auto onto the outer mid lane turret. They desperately want. They're trying to very much drag KSV across the map.
Well, there's something that they can do as Mata. He's going to land it onto Core JJ. Uses the quickness and actually invests a lot into escaping.
Definitely a mini victory. Again, we're only talking about mini victories. They chunk out the Zac and get the quickness. Then they can start to walk up. But you see Def still not optimistic to walk up. Still doesn't have enough information. So largely is just trading farm with the Xayah, which is never the scenario you want at 2 items. Miramana is complete. Iceborne Gauntlet is complete. KT are probably at their strongest position in the game, and you can tell that Rumble knows it. Actually went for the stopwatch just to fully commit to a team fight with the early Zhonya's effect. That was not from a rune. That is just been purchased by the Rumble.
Yeah, does have the cloth armor there as well, so showing us that he does want that 3rd item, Zhonya's Hourglass. I like it more of a Battle Rumble opportunity. KT can actually get to that point. Thankfully, we'll have that one use that you just spoke about before, but there it is. Seraph's Embrace is done, and hopefully KT know now that things aren't really going to stay this good for much longer, as Deft gets himself out of the way, stretching Strike in for Ambition, but unfortunately the wave clear from Ruler is too good. He can't get attached to anything.
And the only objective they actually have position on is the Ocean Drake, which is hardly a big victory at 21 minutes into the game. So with top lane tilting over to the Fiora and the long lane actually being used against the Rumble, as he can't enter lane at the best of times when the lane is either even or especially when it's pushed into the KSV territory. They haven't been able to push up vision on the red side. Starting Baron is impossible. They have great Baron turn with the Realm Warp, the Leona, and even the Equalizer. For now, it counts very little. And again, you say advantage KSV with where the game seems to be headed.
Yeah, what I do like is that KT are now focusing on the top side of the map. You saw it was probably Mata, who wants to get vision control in the enemy jungle up there to allow Smeb to continue pushing forward, but also get that control around the Baron buff. Just does feel like it's not going fast enough here for KT Rolster. We've got another very fast second item Void Staff coming in from Crown. I like how we just have a conversation about it in the last game, not necessarily being as efficient anymore, and still, we've got it being rushed. But against the Abyssal Mask, it makes some sense.
It's something that Riot targeted. When they changed the identity of Leandres to no longer have Flat Pen, there was a really big opening at second item, and you would love to get Magic Pen early. Void Staff was taking 10 AP off to stop it being every game the second item you would build.
Well, there goes Ambition one more time, but
Mata,
he's been caught out of position. Could be another kill for Ruler, but teleports are coming down. Mata wants the Solar Flare, looking for Ruler, but no, they're going to take Ambition. Doesn't get the stun, though, and Pawn really wants to find more, but there's just nothing doing. A Realm Warp comes down. We've got 4 members piling on top, and CoreJJ just melts. Equalizer in incredible position. Emperor's Divide barely even matters as it's a double kill for the Rumble, and KT finally found their fight. QV's in trouble. Deft wants another one, finds the last auto, and Ruler watches as his team dies.
That was the moment. It was set up for the equalizer. The Realm Warp comes in. KSV group to defend the Realm Warp, and remember, crap, it's the equalizer in 2018. It turns on them, burns them all down where they stand, and now there's no smite to stop the first Baron, the all-important first Baron that they drafted for, going to KT.
Yeah, Deft is going to take a red buff, take some minions in the mid lane, and also help with the Baron. The game explodes in an instant, and right around the right spikes in power. Let's see it again.
I love the Realm Warp here because when you're a Rumble player, you're always looking for people to stand in a line, and KSV have to defend the Realm Warp, but then remember, this is Equalizer City. Mata comes in from the side to get the second kill onto Crown. Nothing you can do with the Emperor's Divide. QV picks up one, but Deft's ready to chase. He's ready to go, and now KT have the Baron. They comped for.
Just incredible play from KT Rolster. At exactly the right time.
There's the
now
Banner of Command. Bannon's online.
Exactly. Bannon straight away. We're going to call that UCal. He's going to be in this game now. Certainly does a lot of damage in the mid lane, averaging about 34%, which is pretty silly. So it makes sense.
Going to smite onto it. Now, Ruler also getting closing distance onto the Bannon, but it's not dying, so it's going to go back to doing damage to what it wants to do.
Yeah, and Pawn off to the side here as well. KT just circling around it. We've got
so
Equalizer
scary.
back available once again.
And it's so scary to walk up when Leona is there to escort the minion. So it doesn't quite take the turret, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know they're returning. They're going to stick around. They're going to keep escorting the minions. They can play 3 lanes with this comp, but they drafted to break the base now, so they're going to play 1.
Yeah, I just really love it. It's the tropical death squad of Mata and Smeb that can just lay down so much hurt and so much sort of engage that you don't necessarily need to follow up on. You're completely safe throwing out a Solar Flare and seeing whether it hits someone, and the follow-up of the Equalizer will always be there. So Rumble in the jungle and then Pool Party Leona. They look like they're having a great time, but whoever they're against certainly shouldn't be.
So Ambition charging up. It's not the right time to dive in to defend a inner turret. It's inhibitor turrets where you make the engage against Bannon. So for now at least, they're giving up what they deem to be the minimum objectives, which for Baron do represent the inner turrets. They'll hang back. More extra goal goes to KT to find their first meaningful goal of the game. It is meaningful. This game was within 300 gold before the Realm Warp play, and now has ballooned to just over 6,700.
The thing that we have to talk about is how scary it is to be a KT fan, though, still. Because if that play hadn't have happened, the game was going to slowly get further and further out of their control. It was a beautiful team fight. It was so well orchestrated. The KSV aren't looking like the slouches that they have in previous games. In goes Ambition, looking to start up a fight, but he's just going to immediately melt. CoreJJ at least avoids the Solar Flare, but another aggressive Realm Warp's going to take 3 on top of CoreJJ and Crown. They're focusing on top of the Azir as you've got Score just happy to run between turrets, gets a heal. QV should fall down. It's a double for Deft, 7-1 for KT, and they're going to tear this base apart. Ruler's in trouble. Deft has had so many Wheaties for breakfast this morning, Pub Smithy, because he is destroying people on this Ezreal, and he's so aggressive.
You asked about the what-ifs. You don't draft this comp unless you have big balls. KT's balls right now, brass as hell. They're looking for the end.
Yeah, they are. They've got another Banned Up Baron minion for another 15 seconds. I don't know whether KSV can last that long. Nexus turret number 1 is going to go down. Ruler trying to get any damage done, but he's only 2 items higher. He doesn't have it in the back pocket anymore. Ambition does get a connection onto Smeb, but Smeb just doesn't mind. And they almost take down that last Nexus turret, not biting off more than they can chew. KT not going to end it here.
Again, it just feels like 2017 Spring KT got what they wanted. They got the ability to find games easier to close because Bannon stops there from needing to be 3 lanes adequately pushed. KT's side waves, in spring season especially, were one of the reasons they couldn't win games where they were so far ahead. Nowadays, it doesn't matter about your side waves, at least on patch 8.4. So why not go back to the Rumble? Why not go back to the dive? When you're as confident, as experienced as KT, whose shot calling this season has been on point. They break the base, they can't quite end the game, but a couple of picks and the game ends around KSV.
Yeah, and Pawn, you can see he's ready for just fighting around this mid game. He's got a Banshee's Veil as well as an Abyssal Mask. Crown looks at him and says, well, Pawn, I guess I'm just not going to do damage to you.
And the bigger problem is, it doesn't matter how big QV is in the 1v1 because KT got the Baron when they needed to and trivialized the impact of the Fiora outside of a God team fight. So,
whoa, that's a Banned Up melee creep.
And
I haven't seen that one before.
And Leona bought it. So Mata, for once, won't be going for combat. He's going for the double banner strategy. That's what it's all about here. Abusing patch 8.4 is KT Rolster. Now at least seem to be more interested in getting a second inhibitor to their bot side.
Absolutely love this though. You put 1 banner minion in the top wave, 1 banner minion in the bottom wave, and then everything's pushing no matter what. You don't really need to have any wave control. You look for QV, you find him on the top side, and then you attack where your other banned up minion is.
QV makes short work of the ranged minion that has been bannered up. But Baron spawns in a minute 30. I think KT's too interested in taking a second Baron. They just want to end the game if they can.
Yep, they've got a Nexus turret that
no
doesn't have a lot of health.
On Ruler is really important as well. 30 minutes, he desperately needs that little extra oomph for the Zeke's convergence to feed off, and he doesn't have it. And every Q that hits is a dagger through the heart of KSV fans.
Yeah, it's billions of damage as well from Deft, as you just saw. Took off over a third. Really frightening because this Ezreal is so far ahead. There's a Solar Flare, gets a double stun equalizer on top. The Kidnap not going to even work at all from Ambition. He's out of the fight. Has to go to the fountain. We'll see whether a re-engage can come in as Ruler wants to get damage down desperately. But Pawn turns it back. He doesn't have a lot of armor. Taking a lot, but scores over here. We've got Deft. Oh, he's going to get Emperor's Divided back, and Smeb, he's going to pick up the kill, but Deft too far forward this time. Zhonya's comes in, and they have to sacrifice Smeb. A little bit too eager with KT Rolster.
And you see what happens when one person's caught out of position. KSV know it. It was a flash forward from Ruler. Tried to kill Pawn, wasn't able to do that, but someone had to die for their sins. Ended up being Smeb, and Deft was caught out as well. So while it's still massive lead to KT, they still need to group up and end the game. Baron buff probably going to be needed for that, and they're actually going to be out of position when the Baron buff spawns.
Yeah, I think Smeb and Deft just wanted to stay on the same scoreline. 100% kill participation, as well as 3, 1, and 5.
Smeb found enough gold for a pretty sweet hat, a new death cap onto the Rumble.
Baby. That feels pretty good. Not opting in for that Merlinomicon, but I like the extra damage. If anyone walks down the path of pineapples, they're going to have a really rough time. Reminds me of Little Nicky, if you remember that movie.
I have seen Little Nicky, now you mention it.
Crown, he's just going to clear out this minion wave, though. And you have to remember that the longer KT doesn't win this game, the better KSV feels still.
On a simple level, also consider you have to walk up and kill inhibitor turrets, and it's going to be 3 item Azir and 3 item Xayah, both of them in a great spot if you're coming to them and opting into Feather and Sand Soldier damage respectively. So it actually is not trivial for KT to close this game without forcing or getting a catch. And speaking of catches...
Well, there's 3 members of KT, but Deft, that Arcane Shift was damn well timed. KT have 5 members prepared. They get a pick. They should be able to get to the Baron.
Crown was too far up. That was a big mistake from him.
No teleport on QV either. It's only a 3v5 opportunity. A steal available potentially from Ambition.
Let's watch Mada. He's going to be the one who's tasked to interrupt Ambition.
Yeah, well, he better interrupt him as well. You could imagine that Score's going to have a heart attack if there's anyone with a smite button around his Baron buff. It doesn't matter. It's going to be secured. After all's said and done, it is Score that's able to lock it down with the smite. Now, they want to break open this base in another spot. They've got 2 open inhibitors. KT Rolster, Lord Dominic's Regard is done for Deft. He's running out of item slots, though, as Mercurial Scimitar, the only item remaining. And as soon as that one's picked up, that's when KSV slowly start to catch up.
Zach needs to really engage early, otherwise the banner will do the work. Core JJ, speaking of engage, is on the fight. They do not know where he is.
The double flank is going to come in as Deft moves himself out of the way. Solar Flare on top of Ruler as Core JJ. Maybe in a little bit too late as Ruler has to be on the equalize. He's just taking so much damage as Smeb's going to be able to lock down the kill. Score grabs another one off the back end. KSV, their base is going to be in tatters. Only 1 remaining Nexus turret, remember. And look at that melee minion beat the heck out of these creeps. That one actually is Bruce Banner, I think. That's the Hulk going nuts on Ruler up towards the top side.
Waiting for this minion wave in mid. KT looking to close. They should be able to.
Yeah, Deft is going to be able to finish off the last remaining real turret. The Nexus is now exposed. Only a Sun turret there pretending to be a turret. They actually won another team fight as Ruler setting himself up, and Bishan has to get out of the way. But that's the Nexus falling down 11-3. And KT, after what was a beautiful first Baron fight, close out the game.
They bring back the Rumble comp that was so strong, but also a bit thirsty for them in 2017. But it suits patch 8.4, and the first Baron won in the game. The Realm Walk from Pawn that got them in the back line for the picture-perfect equalizer was exactly when they needed it. 23 minutes into the game, they get 2, they get the Baron, and from there, KT Rolster could close thanks to the power of the Banner of Command minion. KSV will think so close. It certainly was. Every check-in, 19 minutes, 22 minutes, KSV were winning. One beautiful play, and none of it mattered.
Yeah, we have to remember back to how the game felt. It felt like KSV did have the level of control that they were looking for, and yes, by the end of the game, it feels like the game fell out of their hands and it lost control and they were just getting destroyed. That is not how the game works when it all hinges around KT getting one of these leads, getting those snowball plays, because that's what the composition needed to do. Or else KSV were going to do the same thing that they did to BBQ. Of course, very different team. KT Rolster showing mastery in orchestrating the right team fights.
Now on red side, Smeb will have the counter pick. The Fiora wasn't able to take him down, and that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, and will something like the Camille be available? Will we see one of those different matchups that Smeb has gotten so good at? We are going to have a short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we get back, game number 2, KSV, KT Rolster.